Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the weeks of June 11th through 24th. Today is Saturday, June 24th. So, last week I did not post a diary entry because most of what I read I had filmed a separate video for. So, it has been a while since I've done a manga first impressions video. I used to do them quite often a couple years ago, and I kind of got out of the habit of doing it. And I thought, since I had read a whole bunch of volume ones, that it would be a good opportunity to take the time to record a specific video for those 4 volumes. And so that's what I did instead of doing the diary entry. Because if I had done the diary entry also, I wouldn't have had that much to talk to you about. So yeah, I thought I'd just save whatever else I did read and talk to you about them this week. So, there is quite a bit to talk to you about today, so let's get into it. So first off, the 4 volumes that I read for the Manga Pride Readathon that I did a manga series first impressions video on were The Titan's Bride, story and art by ITKZ, published by 7 Seas, rated mature. I should probably tell you how many stars I gave these. So let me pull up the Goodreads page. I gave The Titan's Bride 4 stars. I read volume 1 of Futari Escape, story and art by Shoichi Taguchi. This one is published by 7 Seas, rated teen 13+. I gave this one 3 stars. I read volume 1 of The Summer You Were There by Yuama, published by 7 Seas, rated 13+ or teen. I gave this one 4 stars. And then I read volume 1 of Last Gender, When We Are Nameless. This is by Rei Taki, published by Kodansha, rated 18+ or mature. I gave this one 4 stars. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on all 4 of these volumes, you can check out the video that's linked down in the description box below. So because I did that video, I will not be talking to you about my thoughts on those here. But I have read some other things since I talked to you last. So we'll start off with the Monochrome Manga Club selections, because 2 of them I won't be talking to you about here because I do have a separate video for them. So the video for these 2 volumes should have gone up on Monday. So by the time you're seeing this video, the video for these 2 volumes will be up already. So the Monochrome Manga Club selections were Sotes Volume 1. This is art by K, original story by Bittersweet, published by Yen Press, rated older teen. I gave this one 4 stars. And then we read volume 1 of Yuri Is My Job by Mimon, published by Kodansha, rated teen, and I gave this one 3 stars. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on those selections, you can check out the Monochrome Manga Club series first impressions video, which is linked down in the description box below. So let's continue talking about the Monochrome Manga Club selections before I get into anything else that I have read, just to kind of keep things with the things that I read together. You know what I mean? So the other Monochrome Manga Club selections were our 2 series reads. So we finished Erased with volume 5. This is Erased Re by Kei Sanbe. This is published by Yen Press, rated teen. So this is not really part of the main story. This is just little glimpses into a few of the side characters that we meet in the Erased series. And basically the feeling I got from these short stories was how our main character and his actions changed the lives of his friends that he grew up with and some other people that he met throughout the journey that he took in the first 4 volumes of Erased. So we don't really see him at all as like a main character in this volume. We see stories about specific people in his life at that time. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this glimpse into the characters that were explored here. I will say that I was kind of hoping for a little bit more with this one, but I'm happy that the mangaka gave us a glimpse into these characters' lives as the story of Erased was occurring. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I gave this one 4 stars, I believe. Yes, I gave this one 4 stars. And I'm really glad that we read this series because it was a really enjoyable one overall. And overall, it's a 4-star series for me. So I'm definitely happy to have completed another series, and an enjoyable one at that. And then we started a new series read because we had finished Demon Slayer. And so we started Fullmetal Alchemist. This is volumes 1, 2, and 3. We have already read this for the Monochrome Manga Club. So this one's by Hiromu Arakawa, published by Viz, rated T. So way back when we first started the manga club, this was one of the selections we read. We read volumes 1, 2, and 3. And I had thought that I had given my thoughts on it in a video on my channel, but apparently at that time I wasn't big on actually making videos. I was doing like 1 video a month. So there is no video with my thoughts on this volume. So I'll tell you what my thoughts are here, but I didn't include it in the manga first impressions video because I've already read this before, so it wouldn't be a first impressions. And I can safely say that on reread, I enjoyed this as much as I did when I had read it the first time. It's a story that's very familiar to me because I have already watched both anime adaptations and really enjoyed it. But this series basically follows the adventures of the Elwick brothers, who are shown on the cover here. You can kind of already tell that one of the Elwick brothers is a suit of armor. So this series occurs in a world where you have alchemists. And Fullmetal Alchemist is the name of our main character here, whose name is Edward Elric. And his brother is Al, who is the suit of armor. And right at the beginning of this volume, they do something they're not supposed to do and try to bring back their mother from the dead. And in this world, there is a thing called equivalent exchange. You must give up something that is equal to what you want. And when they had done this, they were very young, and Edward ended up losing his leg, I believe, in the process, and Al ended up losing his body. And so that's kind of the situation that these two are in at the moment. Several years have passed, they're a little bit older, and now Edward is working as a state alchemist, and he is looking for this thing called the Philosopher's Stone, and it takes him on a bunch of adventures in the process. So yeah, that's kind of the basic gist here. There's a bunch of bad guys to fight along the way, and there are political things that happen also, and it's just a really, really intriguing story. It also pulls at the heartstrings. I can tell you that in this volume is one of the saddest stories that is kind of always etched in my mind when it comes to this series. And I believe the other one is going to happen in the next 3-in-1 volume. But I really, really enjoyed this series. And like I said, it's one that we've watched. We've actually watched the first series twice, the first adaptation. And we've watched the Brotherhood adaptation once. Really enjoyed that as well. And I'm really looking forward to continuing this one with my manga club. So, yeah. Gave this one 4 stars. That did not change from the first time that I have read it, just so that you know. So that's all of the Monochrome Manga Club selections. So let's get into what else I have read outside of the Monochrome Manga Club. And the manga series first impressions video that I did for the Manga Pride Readathon. So first up, we have Platinum Blood. This is by Mor Ichigaya. This one is published by Tokyo Pop, rated mature. So this is a story about a priest and a vampire, and it's a spicy one. I think that's pretty much all you need to know. So I buddy read this with my friend Bizarre Indiviual, who's one of the hosts of the Manga Pride Readathon. He enjoyed this one more than I did, to be honest. I had a bit of an issue with this one because at the very beginning of this volume, it is a one-shot. At the very beginning of this volume, we are told that the priest had raised the vampire. So when the priest meets the vampire is a young child. But in this world, vampires age really quickly, and so even though the vampire looks like an adult here on the cover, he was raised by the priest. And not very many years has gone by. Not as many as you'd think, anyway. And so, yeah, I had an issue with that. It kind of came off as adoption incest? Is that a term? It kind of came off that way. But there's also this thing about the fact that they get into the situation that they're in. Like, I'm sure you can surmise from the cover, because the vampire doesn't actually have to have blood. He can have another bodily fluid, if you know what I mean. And so, yeah, it kind of is that whole, like, he's a priest, should he be having relations kind of thing. There was the incestuous feeling that I didn't like. And then there was a trope that came in at the end that I didn't like as well. So it was entertaining. There was also a little bit of a weird issue that I had with the placement of some of the chapters, because it felt like we start the story off, we learn about how these two met and how they've been living together. And then there's suddenly like a couple flashback chapters where I feel like it didn't make it clear that they were flashback chapters, because there was no age progression with at least the vampire. So it got me a little bit confused, but once I figured out what was going on, it was okay, but that didn't help with my reading experience of this volume. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. Borrowed it from Hoopla, so it's not one that I actually purchased. But I don't think I would read this one again because of the issues that I had. So it's not going to be one that I purchased. But I'm glad that my library had it available on Hoopla for me to borrow. So that was that one. And then, because it is Pride Month, I wanted to stick with reading Pride fiction. And so I picked up The Cardigans, which is the first book in the Criminal Intention series by McCade. This is an episodic police procedural type series. So my understanding is that this particular volume is notated as season 1, episode 1. So it kind of takes place like a TV show. And I believe at the moment there are 3 seasons out, or at least the 3rd season is being worked on or released at the moment. This is a series that I have heard about a couple of times, but most recently I heard about it on my friend Hope's channel. And her channel is Jackalope Hope, so I'll link her down in the description box below as well. I've learned a lot about this series from Hope, and it's been one that I've told Hope that I would read eventually, and I thought this was the perfect moment to get into it because it is Pride Month, and this series follows 2 gay detectives. And so at the beginning of this series, we have our one detective, and he's kind of a lone wolf. He doesn't like to work with a partner. And then this case comes up, and he gets partnered with a new detective in town who just so happens to outrank him. And so our main character, the one that we meet in the very beginning, doesn't like that fact at all. Not to mention that he now has to work with a partner, which is something that he also doesn't like. But this case is something that hits close to home for both of our detectives, because there seems to be a serial killer out murdering gay men. And it's vicious murders. They're vicious murders, and we're talking like decapitation and dismemberment. the scenes are really, really bad. And so this first episode follows them trying to hunt down the killer and getting to know each other and things like that. I listened to this one on audiobook. My library's Hoopla service had these on audio. And it took me a while to get into the audio, if I'm honest. Our two characters are of different races. So I believe the character that we meet first is Persian. And the new detective in town is Korean. And the way that at least the Korean character was voiced, I didn't like. It came off as very stereotypical almost. So yeah, I didn't quite enjoy that. But I decided to stick with the audio through this first episode at least, because I wanted to make sure that I focused my time on reading the LGBTQIA plus manga that I had for the Manga Pride Readathon. And so my way to get in the Pride fiction was to listen on audiobook. And so even though it's available for me to borrow on Kindle Unlimited, I decided to listen to it on audio. And I actually stuck it throughout the entire first episode. I thought the case was very interesting. It is very Criminal Minds-esque, especially with the descriptions of the crime scenes. So if Criminal Minds is too gory for you, this series is not going to be one for you. But I really, really enjoy Criminal Minds. And so this was perfect. This was the perfect type of setup for a series for me. I really enjoyed this investigation. I enjoyed watching our two detectives learn about each other, and there's some steam between them. I'm pretty sure they're going to get together sometime. I am pretty sure. But the way they kind of like play off of each other, you definitely see how their relationship kind of changes as this investigation goes on. They start to understand more about how each other works a crime scene and how each other works a case. And I really enjoyed that. So I ended up giving this particular episode 4 stars. And I will definitely be continuing. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of this series goes with the episodic nature, and see what gives like season 1 to season 2. There's definitely something here at the end of the first episode, which I think might be an underlying thing going through this first season, if not into the next episode at least. And so I'm interested about that as well. And so yes, very, very interested in the series. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to more. So thanks, Hope, for putting this one on my radar. And I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to continuing. The next audiobook I just finished this week, a couple days ago, and that was Striking Distance, which is the first book in the Fence novels by Sarah Rees Brennan. This is a novel series. It might only be a duology because I think there's only 2 out at the moment, and I don't know if there will be any more. But this is kind of set in the world of the Fence comic series, which I have not yet read. So I had no experience with this series at all. I did not know any of the characters going in. I don't know anything about them besides the fact that they're all members of a high school fencing team. So for me, this particular installment was basically us getting to know the 4 guys and setting up the relationships or potential relationships, and a lot of drama. And so, yeah, this is pretty much just a male kind of romance, teen romance story, I would say. And if you know me, outside of manga, contemporary romance doesn't work very well for me. I don't know what it is, but I don't enjoy contemporary romance as much in novel form as I do in manga form. So with this being basically contemporary romance in novel form, it was entertaining. But it wasn't like the best thing that I've read. This series also has a Japanese character who I felt was written very stereotypically. I had listened to this one on audiobook completely because I had a free copy, which I had gotten from the audiobook sync program one summer. If you're not aware of what the audiobook sync program is, every summer for I think like 2 or 3 months, this program offers 2 free audiobooks every week throughout the summer, and they are yours to basically own. You just need to make sure that you collect them while they are available. So I've been collecting audiobooks from this program for several years now. It's been more than 3. They're now doing all of the borrowing from the Sora app, which kind of works like Libby, but your borrows are for 35,999 days. So basically, they're yours to listen to whenever you want. And so, yeah, I had this on there. I was watching 365801's, like one of her end of the year wrap-up videos. I've been really enjoying her videos lately, so I've been watching her backlog of videos, and she had mentioned the Fence series in the comic books, and I thought, oh, you know, I have that novelization in my Sora app, let me go listen to it. And so I did, and it was entertaining. Like I said, there is a Japanese character. He came off very stereotypically to me. The way he was narrated, I also didn't enjoy either. But I'm wondering if he might be on the spectrum in some way, shape, or form because of how he was narrated. Now, like I said, I don't have any reference to the Fence series at all, and I do plan on going and checking out the comics, but it wasn't laid out in this volume. I believe that I had read some of the reviews after I had finished reading this one saying that this like takes place a little later in the series, and that the series follows the 2 characters in this book that on a more like major level than the 2 characters that I was more interested in. So the 2 characters I was more interested in this one were Harvard and Aiden. I was very interested to see where their relationship was going to go. And I think even though I didn't like really enjoy this, like it's not one that I would probably reread. I gave it 3 stars. I do want to read the next one because Harvard and Aiden's relationship wasn't really like in a place where I wanted it to be by the end of this book. So I'm hoping that I'll see that in the next one. But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to try out the Fence comics and see if that gives me a better feel for the world. I'm hoping that there's going to be some fencing, like actual fencing in the comics, because for a book that is about a fencing team, there was very little reference to fencing, and there wasn't any matches or dueling at all occurring in this book, which I think definitely took away from the experience for me, because I think if we had some tournaments and things other than the drama that was just happening all the time in this installment, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. So I'm not writing this series off. I do want to continue to the next novelization, and I will be checking out the comics. But for someone who has no experience with these characters, had no idea about them going into it, had no idea about the world going into it, besides the fact that it was about a boys fencing team, this was still an entertaining read, and I'm interested to see how reading the comics will affect my thoughts on this book after I've read the comics. So yeah, interesting, entertaining, but I'm feeling a little bit let down by that one, if I'm honest. And then I have read 2 more volumes of manga. So I have read Would You Like to Be a Family, which is another one-shot manga from Tokyopop. I would say this is also rated mature by Koyama. This has like 3 separate stories in here. You've got the main story, which is the story on the cover, Would You Like to Be a Family, which follows a guy who in high school realized he was gay, he had a crush on somebody, confessed to them, and then was brutally bullied about it, to the point where he no longer socializes with people. He has an office job, he never goes to any office gatherings, he just likes to keep to himself. And then one day while he's grocery shopping, he bumps into a co-worker at the grocery store, who is the other man on the cover here, who invites him home to have a meal with them. I would say a majority of this volume follows our group here that's on the cover. And it was very, very sweet. I really, really enjoyed that story. There's also another story inside where it's about a high school boy and his realization that he may have feelings for a college kid and what happens with their relationship. And then there is another story that is about 2 college kids realizing that they may have more than just friendship feelings for each other. I really enjoyed this volume. I will probably be adding this one to my collection. Truth be told, I thought this was going to be a clean volume, but it's definitely not. There is definitely sexual content in here in 2 of the 3 storylines, so just know that going in. But I really enjoyed the stories. I especially enjoyed the family that you see here on the cover. And so, yes, I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I had originally borrowed it from my library through Hoopla. My library's Hoopla selection has a really large selection of Tokyopop manga in general. And so I had meant to read this one last year for the Manga Pride Readathon and just never got around to it. But I'm glad that I read it this year and I really, really enjoyed it. The last volume that I've read, I just finished very early this morning, and that is Replay by Saki Tsukahara. This one, again, published by Tokyopop. I borrowed it from my library's Hoopla system. This is a one-shot, and it is a friends to lovers story. We follow these 2 guys on the cover. They've been friends since the 3rd grade. They've been playing baseball together, and now they're getting ready to graduate from high school. And so they have now kind of like retired from the baseball club and are getting ready to take their college entrance exams. And now that they're kind of no longer playing baseball together and seeing each other every day, one of them is starting to pull away, and the other one doesn't know why. And so that's kind of where this story starts. Like I said, it is a friends to lovers romance. I really enjoyed this one. This was very, very sweet as well. I really love the art style, and I will be adding this one to my collection as well. Mature scenes in this one. So yeah, definitely sexual content. So if that's not your thing, this one's not going to be for you. But I really enjoyed this one, and I'm glad that I read it. I think I was supposed to read this one with the Bizarre last year, but my library had Replay mislabeled, and they didn't actually have this volume. They had a different series labeled as this volume, and so now they have this volume, so I'm glad that it was available for me to read, and I really enjoyed it, like I said. So that's where we are with my reading right now. That's everything I've read since I talked to you last. I am currently still reading The House of Earth and Blood, first book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Still doing this buddy read with my friend Amy from A Star Reads. I am on chapter 56. I believe I just saw before I started filming today that Amy has read up through chapter 58. So I will need to catch up, but I am really enjoying this book right now. at this point, fully invested in these characters, really looking forward to seeing how this investigation progresses, and looking forward to the relationship between our characters grow even more. And that's all I'm going to say on this one. It's so much better for me where we are now than it was at the beginning. I'm definitely, like I said, invested in these characters, invested in this investigation, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this wraps up. So Amy and I are having a really great time breaking down everything that's going on, trying to predict what's going to happen at the end, and things like that, and just having a grand old time chatting with each other. So really, really looking forward to continuing that with her. We probably will not finish that by time the end of the month rolls around, because we're on page 524, at least in my advanced reader's copy option. I'm not actually reading this. I'm reading a Kindle copy that I borrowed from my library. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I'm glad that I'm able to chat with Amy about it, because there have been a lot of things that we've just been like, so what do you think about this? So what about this? And we've been referencing other parts of the story that we've already read as well. And so bringing all of that information in, and it's just been really, really fun. So yeah, having a great time with that. So that's everything that I am currently reading. Like I said, I'm still trying to read manga volumes for the Manga Pride Readathon through the end of the month. So that's my focus for the next week. And so next week you'll have more Pride manga to hear about from me. But I also need to pick up another audiobook. And I think the audiobook that I'm going to pick up is going to be the second book in the Ghost Hunter Mystery series, which should be Demons Are a Ghoul's Best Friend, and that's by Victoria Laurie. This will be a reread for me, but it's going to be the first time that I listen to it on audiobook. And in this series, we follow MJ with her best friend Gilly, who are doing some ghost hunting. And Gilly is gay. So that's where I'm kind of bringing in the Pride representation. So, yes. I'm really looking forward to rereading this particular installment, because it does follow a Hatchet Man kind of storyline. This one did freak me out the first time that I had read it, and so I'm looking forward to revisiting this particular installment. And so that's my plan for my audiobook for this upcoming week. So we'll see if I finish that by the time I talk to you next, but in any case, it will be a reread for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that's all my reading plans for this next week. And then I do have a tiny knitting update for you. So I haven't worked on this very much, but this is the second of the Demon Slayer socks. So I've only done this much since I talked to you last. I have been having a little bit of hand pain, which has prevented me from working on this, specifically with my two fingers here on my left hand. They kind of feel bruised, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's just my arthritis flaring up, but when I put pressure on them, they feel bruised, and I don't know what I did. And when I'm like gripping things, it hurts throughout here. So I've been laying off the knitting. I haven't been knitting very much. When I do pick it up, I only put in a few rows. And so, yeah, haven't been knitting on this as much as I would like, but we'll see how my hand feels throughout this next week. And so, yeah, that's where we are at with that. In other news, what have we been watching? We finished up our rewatch of the Fast and Furious series. We did not actually watch Fast 10 yet, though. It is available to rent right now, but I think we're going to just wait until the Blu-ray is out, because it just makes more financial sense to do so. We used to do that, actually. We used to just wait until it came out on Blu-ray, because we'd spend like even up to like $40 on the Blu-ray, which is costing less for the three of us to go to the theater and have popcorn and all of that. but we also get to own the movie. So yeah, we're gonna just buy it when it comes out. So since we didn't watch Fast 10, we started our rewatch of the Transformers series because that has a movie that's out this year, or is out right now, I don't know. So we have watched 1, 2, and 3. So we finished Dark Side of the Moon last night. Really enjoying our rewatch of that. And so we will continue to watch through the Transformers movies. And yeah, that's pretty much our plan for that. We are also continuing our watch through of Castle and enjoying that. And then my daughter and I have started a gaming channel. So I've included some gameplay of us playing video games in some of my Disis19 Diaries in the past. My daughter is kind of interested in exploring posting on YouTube, and so I thought to venture into it together would be a great way to kind of help her along and handhold and things like that, and doing something that we do often anyway. And so right now we are just doing really like small videos on Genshin Impact gameplay. We did 2 videos of our gacha pulls for Kazuha, and so we have one video up right now on the channel with my pulls, and then we also have a video up on my daughter's pulls. And then this week on Saturday there should be a video of us doing our weekly boss battles. And so yeah, just some amateur gaming content if you're interested in seeing what we're playing. I'll link our gaming channel down in the description box below in case you'd like to follow along or just see what kind of stuff we post there. Like I said, right now it's just Genshin Impact content, but I do want to explore some other games with her, or revisit some other games that we've played before in the past. And I think we're going to try to work on some like PNG tuber type stuff on there as well, since all of that is not this type of video. You don't see our faces, you only hear our voices. And so yeah, I got some extra equipment as far as like microphones for both of us and things like that, and trying to figure out how to record the gameplay the best way on the computer and things like that. So it's been an interesting thing. I don't think we're going to put up more than 1 video a week if we do that as well. It's just been lucky that we've had a video a week so far. And so yeah, like I said, if you're interested in watching us do some gameplay, definitely check out the channel below. Or if you have any games that you'd like to see us play, we're always open to suggestions. So you can leave that down in the comments below as well. And that will pretty much do it for my diary entry for the last couple weeks. So let me know down in the comments below what you've read so far this month. Have you found a favorite read of the month? Or have you found a really like dud read of the month? I'd love to know. Let me know too if anything that I've read recently you have read as well, and what you thought of them. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a blue heart emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.